Well, it's not over yet, but the latest ruling in the legal fight over voting by mail in Texas has come from the state Supreme Court. They side with the Attorney General, saying fear over catching coronavirus is not a disability and therefore does not make someone eligible for a mail-in ballot. But Justice has left a little loophole, saying the law as it's written means counties don't have to investigate whether or not any disability claims made are valid, and voters aren't required to disclose the nature of their disability anyway when they request a mail-in ballot. So voters can sort of do what their conscience tells them there, I guess. Our recent poll with Emerson College found a pretty even split between Texas voters who think everyone should be able to vote by mail and those who think it should have to be in person. You see the numbers there. Regardless, the Texas Secretary of State says voters might want to wear a mask and bring their own hand sanitizer to the polls. But is this really about the epidemic or about politics? Our John Engel digs into the data, just to find out what it really shows about the potential for election fraud here in Texas.
President Trump tweeting, "There's no way mail-in ballots don't lead to fraud."
And unless it's reported or some other way detected, it's going to occur with no one knowing that it happened.
That's Hans with the Conservative Heritage Foundation. Their own database shows just 24 cases of voter fraud in Texas since 2015, and only 7 of those involved absentee ballots. Still, they're advocating for limiting mail-in votes.
Wisconsin successfully held an election in April. They had over 300,000 people voting in person. There's a medical report out, which you can easily find, in which experts say there was no spike in COVID-19 infections.
Maybe the operative word is spike there. Wisconsin public health officials say 71 people who voted in person or worked at the polls tested positive for COVID-19. It's unclear how many of those cases are because of the election.
Republicans only have a problem with vote by mail when they're afraid it might not benefit them. I didn't hear any Republican complaints about the 29% of Floridians that voted by mail in 2016.
Victoria Gonzalez of Austin is a Republican voter who told me she's not afraid of going to the polls, but wants the option to stay home.
I think as a whole for society and community, it's to have a respect for how people feel as a whole. And that's avoid the virus, stay as healthy as possible right now, and essentially respect everyone's boundaries.
And as for the idea that a decision would impact one party over another, a Stanford University paper found neutral impact on both voter share and voter turnout in states that previously required in-person voting but moved to expand vote by mail.